Ladies and gentlemen, good day. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the 2019 CAPASSO Annual General Meeting of Members. Let me start off with an apology for addressing you by way of video instead of in person, but I have recently undergone surgery and am currently in the post-operative bed rest phase, which is compulsory, I'm afraid. So I wish I could have been there to see you all, my fine friends and colleagues, but we shall no doubt see each other again very soon once my recovery is complete. At very least, this made me get out of bed, have a shave, and put a decent shirt on. This is a rather poignant moment for me, as it marks the end of my 5-year tenure as chairman of CAPASSO's board. Rotations of directors and indeed the chairman are a very important part of the MOI processes which I helped draw up all those years ago. And my time has come and gone so quickly, and yet when I think back, it has seen so much. I think as the founding chairman of CAPASSO, I can be forgiven for feeling an immense amount of pride as I speak to you today. I think that the organization has overcome almost insurmountable odds, and in the overcoming of those odds has established itself as, in my opinion, without a shadow of a doubt, the epitome of what a transparent and functional CMO should be. CAPASSO sets an example across the continent as a beacon of how a rights organization, a CMO, an organization that handles its members' money should operate transparently, efficiently, and indeed aggressively in terms of revenue collections and distributions. For that, I would like to thank the 2 CEOs that have served under me during this 5-year period, the COO and the rest of the team who have worked so tirelessly to make the organization what it is today. My pride is increased because one thinks back to the historical perspective and the historical scenario in which CAPASSO was born. Mechanical rights in South Africa were a minefield. They were mired in chaos. There were ashes of fallen organizations. We're all aware of the controversial and devastating demise, for example, of Sarel. At one point in South Africa, there were no less than 3 CMOs handling mechanical rights. It was a fairly chaotic situation. CAPASSO was born out of the country's, shall we call it, second negotiated settlement. Hallelujah, my brothers and sisters. Sense prevailed, wisdom prevailed, and as a result, CAPASSO was born out of the merger of Samro Mechanicals on the one hand and Norm on the other hand, both of whom were operating at that point. They combined their divisions, their licensing divisions in respect of mechanical rights into one, and at the time it was fairly apparent to all of us that this was needed, but it was impossible to predict just how revolutionary that decision would become. Today, CAPASSO leads the charge in changing the narrative around African CMOs, particularly with regard to digital licensing. CAPASSO is the CMO with the lowest cost-to-income ratio on the whole continent of Africa, with regular distributions which increase in quantum year on year. This is the thing of which I am most proud. It's no small feat to achieve this. Further, in the past financial year, I am absolutely brimming with pride in being able to say that CAPASSO's revenue topped the mystically aspirational 100 million rand mark, which had been set as an almost dreamlike utopian target on the inception of the organization. It has been achieved in the past financial year, a landmark achievement. Congratulations to all involved. Further, in that same financial year, the record for the biggest single mechanical rights distribution in the history of South Africa was achieved. Congratulations again. It is this extremely healthy revenue collection and distribution balance that I personally feel the most pride about. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to remind you, please, and implore you as members to assist the team to provide the much needed metadata that is required, the metadata around your compositions that is required. Please update that information and provide it on a regular basis to ensure that the distribution percentages of the organization increase even more with every distribution. There have been many changes during the past 5 years, and CAPASSO's agility and ability to move quickly, think on its feet, has ensured that members were able to benefit from those changes. By way of its illustration, at the time that CAPASSO was formed, there was no Apple Music or Spotify in Africa. It came, and it came quickly. And to this end, CAPASSO was able to adapt to these industry changes and trends to ensure that songwriters are considered and are remunerated. It is this agility that, as I step down at the end of my 5 years, I would ask that CAPASSO never loses, even as it grows, continues to grow and develop. That agility, that ability to move swiftly, quickly with the times and with what is happening in the industry is crucial to the organization and should never be lost. As I step down from the post of independent chair at the end of this 5 years, I would like to thank you, the members, who have rallied together over the past 5 years to ensure the organization's success. The staff work tirelessly, but without the support of the members, there is nothing. So to the members, I say to you, thank you, and may your commitment to the organization long continue into the future. When I think back about our various meetings, particularly with broadcasters, I think you know of whom I speak, and digital service providers, who can be very tough, and the challenges we overcame in those meetings as a small organization now trying to establish itself in this new scenario and take on these mammoth, monolithic giants, particularly the broadcasters and the DSPs. The challenges that were overcome really are quite startling. And all I can say is wow. And that wow factor continues. The wow factor, when we walked out of those meetings and we said, wow, we can't believe we actually got to meet with them. Secondly, that we got them to consider licensing. And thirdly, that we got them to consider reasonable rates. And we said wow to each other over a coffee afterwards. Long may that wow factor continue. It needs to, because there are still threats, there are still changes, there are still trends happening in the industry. As I speak to you with the threats of carve-outs, for example, and carve-ins, the wonderful thing is that members seem to have remained resolute in their support of the organization because it is transparent and efficient. So I ask that that resolute commitment remain. At this point, thanks must go to the whole CAPASSO team, but in particular, the 2 CEOs who served under me during this 5 years and the COO, but also the management team and the rest of the organization, all the staff who have dedicated themselves to CAPASSO. Long may your commitment continue. I applaud you. I would also personally like to thank every single board member that has served with me on CAPASSO's board. I've had nothing but support. I have had the privilege of learning from you, working with you, and absorbing from you secrets and mysteries of the industry which now make sense. I thank you. Every single board member has contributed to my own personal development, and as I step down, I would want to express to you each, every single one of you who served on the board, my gratitude. Long may your commitment continue. Long may you make your chairman's job easier. Long may your zeal for the organization continue. Lastly, but certainly not least, it's now time for me to welcome my successor, Mr. Leslie Sedibe, who takes over as chairperson of the board going forward. Leslie, firstly, my congratulations. Secondly, good luck. I have absolutely no doubt that your experience and leadership will aid this organization to continue its upward trajectory to even greater heights. Welcome to the CAPASSO family. Ladies and gentlemen, as I bid you adieu for now, and I thank you for your support of me and my board over the last 5 years, I now ask you to give Mr. Leslie Sedibe a warm welcome. Thank you and au revoir.